So again, I want to thank you guys and gals for letting me get on here today and share some of my stories, and hopefully we'll all learn something. Couple things. This presentation is, it's an hour long, so we're not going to get it all in, but I want to touch on some things. And sorry, I had to turn my phone off there. But if you want to go farther, I know Martha or Megan or one of them has put some links up to some future webinars. I've included the link here to the T2 training program. I know there's a lot of changes going on. I hope this is still a good link, but I know they're getting ready to get back in action and doing flagging and technician and work zone classes. So if you haven't been to one, be sure and check them out. So yeah, introduction, we're going to start there. PPE, that's one thing I don't believe in this day's time you have to explain to anyone. I think during this pandemic, we've all gotten used to the term PPE, personal protective equipment. We're going to talk a little bit about the work zone traffic control components, in so much how each one of them is important in keeping not only the flagger safe, but also the crew within it. Now, when we talk about the crew as well, we also have to look at the driver. The driver is an integral part of this equation. And in today's time, unfortunately, we're dealing with all the distractions that come about with the cell phones and the kid in the back seat, just the noise and the hustle and bustle of the world. And so it's inherent of us to make these safe for the driver, safe for the flagger, and safe for the work crew. So we have to do it. We have to take care of everyone and make certain that we can get them in and out of our work zones as quick as possible. Talk a little bit about the location and procedures. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the procedures today. That's a lot of hands-on activity, but be sure and check out one of the flagging classes or maybe some videos, but we're not going to get into quite the procedures today. Do's and don'ts, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And again, these are all critical. I can't stress that enough. They're all critical in keeping each one of us safe in today's world. And we'll a little bit at the end on new technology. I believe as a manager, as a supervisor, as a technician, whatever role we're playing in the world, it's inherent of us to accept new ideals and new technologies and utilize those in our work zones. The computer technology of today is unsurpassed. I mean, we're packing, computers in our hand that 20 years ago wouldn't fit in an office, or 30 years ago, whenever the time frame was. But we're able to track vehicles now. We're able to track vehicle speeds. Just utilize that new technology. It's inherent of us all to utilize it. So we'll just real quick on at the end on some of the new technology that's out there. So everybody ready to go, right? We good to go? This picture came years ago. Was a guy, I guess he wanted to draw attention to himself, and he did. So that was good, maybe not. But the one bad thing there, I don't know if anybody can see it, is what's he standing next to? So you've got your high-vis vest on, you got your paddle, and you've got definitely a hat that'll draw attention, but now you got to jump over the guardrail if a car gets out of control. So one thing I've noticed, through my time with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet and being retired, I'm having a lot of trouble trying to get a handle on how many people are actually getting hurt in work zones, how many people are getting killed in work zones. There's a lot of data out there, but there's really no centralized location that pulls it all in. Now, OSHA, through its Bureau of Labor Statistics, will bring some of that information in, but it's not always accurate in so much, were they actually working in the work zone, or was it perhaps someone just getting struck as they exited a vehicle and not in a work zone? So I hopefully one of these days we'll get a little better handle on developing or looking for how many people actually get hurt in the work zones. Kentucky, I know, has in my previous role, I would read articles about a utility worker getting struck that really never came across our desk. So it's rather difficult to pull this all in. Now, what I did was this. I did a Google search, or I have one of my Google emails, and it's searching every day on articles about a highway worker struck or killed. And you can see this is in July. And what is this, 4 days in July? 4 days in July, we had 6 alerts. Now, some of those might be duplicate. I didn't go back into that and find out if they were duplicates or not. But even so, you're getting one a day, basically. You're getting one event a day where they were either struck or they might have been killed. And again, I didn't dig into the nuts and bolts of these and try to find the exact what happened or any of that. But I just wanted to show you this is what it's all about. This is happening every day, every day, every day. And it's, nationally, probably my guess is we're getting about 350 to 400 workers per year. And this is a little bit of information here that the labor statistics put out that work zone injuries since 2015 have gone up 7%. And realize that the distractions now of the roadway are a leading cause of that. In fact, pedestrian deaths have risen quite a bit in the last 5 years as well. So not only are work zone injuries, as far as workers in the work zone, in the actual work zone, but the pedestrians are getting hit as well. There's around 5,000, a little over 5,000 fatal work injuries in 2016. That's the last year I have the data for, but I know generally speaking, it's running a little over 5,000 per year. And again, my estimates are putting the worker killed in a work zone at around 300 to 400, about one a day, basically. So a lot of this now is being done at night. Your shorter schedules and, trying to reduce the work zone area. But all those factors basically raise the level of the hazards for the worker. So if any of y'all ever worked at night, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I do want to show this one investigation that I was part of about 10 years ago. It was down in Princeton in Caldwell County. Let me see if I can bring up my pen here. But basically, you have a pretty straight road. So you can see this is pretty straight road. It was over the crest of a hill. And your signage, let me go to the next slide here and we'll show you the signage. Let's see, I've got to get used to using this pen again. So we're going to go to the next slide. Well, here we go. Sorry. All right. When I went to the draw screen. Okay, now what happened was this. You got a pretty straight road. You had a flagging condition. You had some work that was going on the side. They were actually putting an entrance into a school, and they had permanent signage standing out in the advanced warning area. But what happened was one day they decided to flag, so they took these signs that are laying at the base and they covered the other signs that were there. So you have these signs here that were basically brought up and put on top of the other signs. So you had one morning about 9 o'clock in the morning, and you had a elderly gentleman, I believe he was around 85 or 90 years old, and he's driving to get breakfast in Princeton. And he's going down this straight road and he crests this hill and he comes down to this area, and you can see, let me bring this draw screen back up. I promise I won't use this too much, but I need a little bit right here. And what happened was this: the flagger, unfortunately, was standing right at this location here, and which is totally wrong. He was standing in the middle of the road. Traffic was coming up toward him in this direction. and he was watching it. And the gentleman came from behind in this direction. He was headed southbound, and he struck the gentleman in the back. And now you can see these pink areas here in the pavement right here. And then you see a big batch right here. It's kind of a reddish orange, and no, it's not blood, but what it is, it's a paint spray. It's a surveyor's marking. And he had a can of paint in the back of his, there's another little drop there. He had a can of paint in his back pocket. And when the vehicle struck him, it sprayed downward onto the pavement. And then he rolled the hood of the car to this area and landed on the pavement. And that's where all the paint sprayed out. So a lot of things going on here that were wrong. And you can put in chat over here with some of your ideals. But one of the main things was they didn't put these new signs, these flagger signs, in an area that were identifiable. They opted to hang them on top of a sign that was already there. In doing so, the gentleman really didn't pay much attention to the signage. We all find that we see the signage every day, and we tend to overlook it over time. We don't pay any attention to it. We kind of white it out. It's static. It doesn't change. And so what they should have done, obviously, was put some new signs up, maybe covered the old signs, and it may have gotten his attention. A couple of other things he was doing wrong were he was standing in the middle of the roadway. So that's a definite no. Had his back to traffic, another definite no. So a lot of things going on. I guess if there is a good part about all this, the gentleman was injured. He was injured pretty badly, but he did live. I believe he eventually ended up, he was an elderly gentleman. He was, well, I say that, he was my age. He was probably 56, 57 years old. I'm a couple years older than that, but I think he ended up moving to Florida and retiring in Florida. But, he had to go through a lot of surgery and go through a lot of pain. And it was a injury and incident that could have been avoided through a lot of different things, through the signage, possibly through him getting out of the road, from him not having his back to traffic. Again, it was a calamity of errors. So the roadway was straight as an arrow. There wasn't a lot of traffic, and everything could have been avoided if we'd have done everything correctly. And we get complacent out there. We end up getting complacent in what we're doing. So now we're going to talk a little bit about PPE. And I think, Nicole, can you bring up that survey question?
I sure can.
Because we want to be visible. So here's a question. What colors are allowed for high visibility safety vests? What's everyone's answer?
So if you click on the box.
Yeah, that I don't know, Martha. Don't know how to do it. I can tell you what the answer is, but I don't know how to do it.
By the way.
What was the question? Sorry.
What colors are allowed for high visibility safety vests complying to ANSI Class 2 or Class 3 standards? I think everybody's pulled in there. So the majority thought D. So we looks like 64%, but we're kind of on the edge on a few of us are answering, well, maybe fluorescent orange red and maybe fluorescent yellow green, maybe a combo. In actuality, it's the correct answer. Everybody is right. It's D. So you can wear a combo of both, and you can wear either fluorescent green or fluorescent orange. Now, I do want to tell you this, which one is the better one? That's where we all seem to have a problem. And let me give you some of my thoughts on this. We had a buyer that was buying the fluorescent. I can't hardly say that at 9 o'clock in the morning, but buying the lime green or chartreuse. If you're a fisherman, you call them chartreuse. But the lime green vest, we had one of our buyers who worked for our employee safety and health branch. He wanted the fluorescent lime green because he felt like that in a sea of orange out there, we might not be visible. And if everything looked like drums, they might want to hit the drums. And I kind of look like a drum sometimes, and they might want to hit me. So his option was to go with the fluorescent green. Now that's true, but let me show you something here. Sorry, it's going to be on the next slide, but you can actually do a combo of the two. So you can do the orange, you can do the lime green with the orange stripes. No matter what, we need a high-vis safety vest on you, because you can see the requirement for this is it has to be visible for at least 1,000 feet. But let me show you this one picture, this next picture. Let's see if I can bring it up. I know this isn't the greatest picture, and this really doesn't show the contrast as much as it would in real life. But this picture, I took this picture about a month ago out on I-64 from a work crew that was picking up trash on the side of the highway. And driving, as a driver, you could see a distinct difference in the orange vest against the lime green grass than you could the lime green vest. And in fact, the orange vest was quite a bit brighter and it stood out. You got that contrast. So in other words, there really isn't the correct answer. There really isn't a preferred vest, because I believe that I would probably opt to go with the orange vest in a really green area like the forest area. I saw Mr. Noble on here, Mr. Philip Noble, down in Breathitt County, and I know the area of Breathitt fairly well. And you get down in the mountain areas of Eastern Kentucky, and in those areas in the springtime, that lime green vest blends in really well with the trees themselves. So maybe the orange is a better fit some cases, or maybe you want to go a really heavy mix of the two. But if I had, I don't have unlimited money, but if I had unlimited money, I'd probably be looking at the orange vest when my workers are going to be in the grassy areas or the mountainous areas with the tree canopies, and go with the green vest when I'm in the urban areas around the roadways and a lot of barrels. So there's really no one fits all sort of thing, because go down the road sometimes, and if you see someone in an orange vest in the green grass, look at the contrast there as compared to when you see them in a green vest in that same situation. So again, there's not really a magic answer. All right, we're going to talk about work zone components a little bit, because they're going to play a key factor. So your PPE will play a key factor in being seen, but we also have to take into account that we're going to build this work zone out there in the proper way so that everyone stays safe. And let me see if I know these all come up at one time, so let me click through these, and we're going to talk about every one of them in its own right. But just leading into that work zone, you can see you have that advanced warning area, and then a transition area, and a buffer space. And we'll define that. Then a work area, and then that downstream taper. Now, I will say this is one area I believe where there's the termination area, where we fail, and that we don't do this exactly right. And I realize every road is different out there, and every road is unique, but we have to take into account the roadway, the traffic, the visibility, any undulations in the roadway, curves, they all play into this. So, it's like the vest. There's not a correct answer for all situations, but this is a perfect job site on a straight roadway, and we're going to talk about each one in its entirety. So we've got another survey question up here. Nicole, can you bring this one up?
I sure can. 1 second.
So we're gonna talk about speed basically, because a lot of people don't know the speed we're traveling, how far do we go for the given speed? So Nicole has a survey up here. When a car is doing 65 miles per hour, which probably would be pretty typical in a 55-mile-an-hour speed area, how far are you going to travel in 5 seconds? They say that in a work zone that the PRT, which is the perception reaction time, generally is around 3 to 5 seconds. So we're gonna say 5. We're gonna go worst case. We need to know about how far does that car travel. I'd say the engineers in the group are pulling out their calculators. Maybe the techs. And there we go. So we got the final results. It looks like, looks like around 58% of you thought 500 feet. A few others were looking at the 100, the 350, and the 175. The correct answer is 500 feet. I think it actually comes out to about 488. So a lot of people don't realize that. The normal person doesn't realize that, you know, you're going to be traveling again in a work zone. They say the perception reaction time, which is to see it, react to it, and start to brake or turn or whatever. That's not even the actual stopping time, is 3 to 5 seconds. So that, or 3 to 7, I'm sorry, 3 to 7. So in that at 65 miles an hour, you've already came up to 500 feet. Now, if you remember, the length of visibility for that PPE for the vest was 1,000 feet. So to give you some idea that, you know, at 500 feet, you know, you're just now starting to see and react. So that's cutting into that 1,000 foot visibility a little bit. And here's a little bit of a chart that I pulled from the MUTCD. And now you can use this chart in a couple different manners. We're going to talk about buffer here in a second. You can actually use it for to determine your buffer area. But if you're trying to stop at 55 miles per hour, you can see you need around 495 feet to stop, to see it, react, and stop. So 495 feet going just 55 miles an hour. 65 miles an hour, tack on another 145, 50 feet. And that gives you that stopping time. So they've basically given you that the car is traveling that fast at 65 miles an hour. You're going to need 5 seconds or so to react to it. And then you need 150 to 200 feet to stop. So again, a lot of distance there that we don't realize. And so that's why that advanced warning area is key in ensuring that the vehicle, the driver, has time to read those signs, see those signs, pay attention to those signs, and that's a key, and be able to react to what those signs are telling them, or him or her. So you want to properly position and space to give that motorist time to respond. One thing key here is too, think about signage. Be careful with your size of the sign. I was coming down a rural highway the other day, and I guess this one contractor decided they were going to put the 48-inch signs. Unfortunately, the road I was on, it was only about 16 foot wide with a 1 foot shoulder. So once they put that 4 foot sign in there, it about caused me to run off the other side of the road. So be careful of that as well. So give that properly positioned, space them. You're going to get adequate time to see and stop. Now, generally the MUTCD, which is I'm sure you all know, is the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. They'll generally have 3 signs leading into it. And I think that shows up, here it goes. Advanced warning area. They'll have the road work so many feet, the 1-lane road so many feet, and then the flagger symbol. And I highly encourage you, use the flagger symbol. Do not use the flagger head where it's written in written form. This causes confusion. People don't read it, and they need that symbol. So here we're going down the road, and we've got this ABC dimension. So we need to space these far enough out from the flagger to give that car ample time to stop. And you can see, let's see, here's the dimensions. So low speed, you only need about 100 feet between signs. High speed urban, you're looking at 40, 45 miles an hour is considered high speed urban area, which is a town, city driving. 350. And then once you're in the rural areas, go to that 500 feet. Now, not getting into the interstates or anything like that, but you'll actually get sign spacings on the interstate. I've seen them up to 6 miles out, just to give the people ample warning. So that again, that's key in that you have enough dimension between those signs to give them ample warning. And one thing you never really want to do is go shorter. It's okay to go longer, but I'd be careful ever going shorter in a dimension. This is a standard in the MUTCD. So they want 500 feet. They don't want 480. They want that ample opportunity to see the sign and react to it. And there are some cases though, because of whatever reason, you might have to go out a little farther. So just be aware of that. Now that transition area is just kind of moving that car, that truck over into a clear lane. And one thing they've done here is they delineated it. Basically, they formed a line with cones in an angular manner to move you over into the other lanes. I don't feel like we do this enough, whether it be state work, contract work, utility work. I think we all fail at this. And I'd really like to see a good effort statewide to improve ourselves here, because a lot of times we'll put a flagger out, but no cones or barrels. And I think that those cones give a really good, clean definition of where you want me as a driver to drive. So that transition area is going to be just beyond that flagger. And again, they're bringing us over into a clear lane of traffic. Now, here's this next portion. Oh, here's a little bit, I'm sorry. In the flagger area, that transition is going to be 50 to 100 feet. So you're going to take those cones and you're going to space them no more than 20 foot apart, and you're going to bring them across that lane of traffic. And again, that kind of takes that car. Let me see if I can bring up my, no, can't do it. Let's see, I was trying to bring up my drawing. Anyway, takes that car and brings them from that right lane over to the left lane in a good positive way, and not where they don't know where to go. Because if you don't form that line with those cones, a lot of times these drivers do not know where to pull their vehicle. They don't know whether to go straight or to angle over into the other lane. Now, this next section, we've got that advance warning, then we had the transition. In this next area, we're going to have the activity areas, what it's defined as. We're going to have a lot of things in here. We're going to have the traffic space, and I'm not really going to talk about that too much, but I am going to talk about this buffer space leading into it. And the buffer space is right between the flagger and the work. And basically what it's there for is if me, a driver, I'm coming down the roadway and I'm texting, I'm talking on the phone to someone, I'm just not paying attention. I go past the signage, I go past the flagger, and I'll start hitting the cones. I'm like, whoa, I'm trying to stop my vehicle. That gives me a little bit of area to slow that vehicle down. Now, I don't have a chart up again, but if you're, I believe if you're driving 55 miles an hour, that's around 495 feet of distance. That's stopping sight distance as a function of speed. And so that gives me a little bit of room where I've gone through the advance warning, I've gone past the flagger. Oh, what am I going to do? Kind of thing. Well, that little bit of room, a little bit of buffer, again, it's all it is open air. You don't want anything in it. That little bit of buffer is going to give me as a driver a little bit of time to stop before I hit the workers. And again, now this is a perfectly straight road. It doesn't have any curves in it, doesn't have any hills in it. You have to take all those factors into consideration when you're setting this up. And it does not hurt to go longer. Not at all. So you can have 1,000-foot buffer in there if you want to. So next up, where we're working. Again, this can be as short as one pickup truck or a truck, and it can be as long as, 5, 10, 15 miles. So that work area is only defined by the work itself. but your crew's the one in there. So, you know, and our coworkers, so we want to protect them. And we need to, again, I can't stress this enough, delineate, delineate, delineate. Give me a good line. Now, I realize if this work area is 5 miles, 10 miles long, it's a little bit more difficult to put those cones out for 5 or 10 miles. But that's possibly when you look at an option of maybe using a pallet truck. And that's one of the types of flaggers. We're not going to get into those today, but that maybe that's an option in that situation. If it's less than 1 mile, there's no reason why we cannot delineate this area with cones. Will it ever stop a vehicle from coming within it? No, but maybe one, you know, if it stops one vehicle from coming within it, they're well worth setting out that day. So just realize that. All right, the next area we got is the termination area. That's basically allowing that driver to get back into the flow, get back over into their lane of traffic. Now, I will say this, sometimes that flagger station on the other end and this termination area don't have enough spacing, and you're trying to pull back into traffic right where the other flagger is. So make certain that we set this up where we put that flagger far enough downstream. Whoops, sorry, I went one more. Well, I'm doing it again. I'm sorry, I'm trying. Here we go. This area here that I just drew, sometimes we'll have that flagger standing like right here, and we as a vehicle don't have enough time to make this turn back this direction. So just make certain that when you bring that flagger in there that you give he or she enough room to not be in the way for that vehicle returning to its lane of traffic. Here's a kind of a setup. Again, this is a setup, the typical setup that's in the MUTCD. One thing, again, some of these flagger stations, you want to look at the condition of the road. Look at, they have enough time to stop. Be aware you're going to be backing vehicles up. So you want to give those vehicles room to back up. That's what happens. A lot of times we'll back vehicles up over a crest of a hill or right at a crest of a hill. And then you have another vehicle coming over that crest and running into the back end of that other vehicle. So just be certain of that. Look at the surrounding, look at the tree canopy as well. You want them in a highly visible location. Be careful where you park the vehicle. Sometimes people park these vehicles right behind the flagger, not a good area. Here's that again, make certain they're in advance of that hill curve. Maybe use a longer buffer. What's the flagger going to be doing? You want them on the shoulder. You want them watching traffic. The best way to stand, it's kind of difficult for me to do sitting in a chair, but if the flagger stands at a little bit of an angle, they can actually watch both directions. So you want them to stay on the shoulder if at all possible. Make certain that they have an area that they can get out of. The one flagger we showed earlier was standing right next to a guardrail, not a good location. Never flag on a bridge unless it's a complete emergency because they have no escape route. So just be aware of that. I might have passed it up and I apologize. Let me go back here a second, but there's one thing I wanted to, I don't see it. There was one thing I wanted to mention that we had a unfortunate incident a few years ago with a flagger in the Woodford County area. And this flagger basically got out of their vehicle. The supervisor dropped him off and the flagger got out of their vehicle around 8 o'clock in the morning. And they stepped out in the highway and were struck by a vehicle traveling 55 to 60 miles an hour that never saw them. And what happened was they were, if you've ever been on US 421 between Frankfort and Woodford County, I'm sorry, Frankfort and Midway or Midway and Lexington, that roadway is a true east-west corridor. Even though it's 421, it's going straight east and straight west. And the woman, the sun was in her eyes and she never saw the flagger. So we had a fatality. We had a 37-year-old male that passed away. And I believe he had 3 or 4 kids and a wife there in Versailles. So just horrific incident. Just, again, I can't stress this enough. Be be cognizant of where you place your flaggers. Look for those tree canopies and look for that, where's the sun? Where's the sun coming from? So if you want to, put down in chat, this is a picture from the flagger presentation that we usually do. What's going on with this picture, and you can see there's a lot of things happening here. You got one again. Be careful where you.
Give a minute, Rob.
What's
Let me
that?
tell you what's wrong with this. Does anybody want to tell us what's wrong with this?
Yeah.
I mean, geez, there's
we got-
ample answers for this one.
We got time. Somebody tell us what's wrong.
He's in between two guardrails. He's standing behind an open door of a pickup truck, which is blocking any view of somebody coming at him and his view of any approaching vehicles. Guy's back to traffic is the opposite direction. I don't know. I'll probably think a few more here in a minute, but
Probably will, looking at it. Does anybody else see any other items? The hot mess, Rob, I think you picked up.
He's got his sign turned backwards.
Possibly, yeah. I see one that's glaring. Anybody?
Somebody put in chat box center of the road.
There's one glaring one. Anybody? I didn't hear it on the last one.
Somebody put in chat box in the center of the road.
Oh yeah, that's center of the road. Oh, I see it in the chat. No high vis. That's the one I was looking for. Kevin got it.
it looks like he's got another person standing in front of him too.
He does. They're behind the door of the truck.
The hot mess.
Yeah. I don't know who took this picture. It wasn't me, but yeah, trust me, I can probably show you more pictures of flagging wrong than I can show you of flagging right. So yeah, a lot of problems there. One real quickly, again, have that escape route. You can get out of the way. Again, that person was standing right between the guardrails. They don't have enough area to get out of that situation. So they were standing in the middle of the road. Not a good place to be. Never stand in the path of approaching vehicles. Again, you've just got to be aware of that. I think the one that I typically see the most is the flagger looking the other way. We're trying to look, we're as flaggers, we're out there and all the work's happening over here behind us. And what do we want to do as humans? We want to watch the work. We want to watch them back there digging whatever out. We want to watch them bulldozing. We want to watch whatever the work's going on. We want to watch it. We're human. So that's probably one of the worst things I see regular is the people looking the wrong direction. Some do's and don'ts. Don't use a cell phone. Don't wear headsets. I've seen many people using cell phones. Now, it is allowed to use cell technology as a communication means, but if you do it, you want to wear what? A headset. So be friendly, speak only briefly with one motorist. Quick story, and then we're getting close to the end, but a quick story. Had a situation down in the Berea area where the flagger had traffic stopped on one end. Another flagger had traffic stopped at the other end of this road. They had about 4,000 feet between them. They were going to blast a section of rock out in the area roadway between these two flaggers. And if you've ever been around a blasting situation in a construction zone, they have a series of beeps and sirens, I guess. And I can't remember the exact pattern, but basically the flagger knew when it was time to blast that rock. So what does he do when he's getting ready to blast that rock? Well, he's got his paddle here, and what does he do? He just turns around, drops his paddle. He's going to want to watch the explosion, right? I would. And what does the first car do? Drive through. So you have to be careful of that. Thankfully, the flagger was able to get the car stopped about 10 seconds before the blast occurred. So they were able to get the car to stop. But so if you're going to stop if you're going to stop cars and you're going to have them there for any time, or there's a dangerous situation, you're getting ready to drop a tree, you're getting ready to blast, you're getting ready to load a piece of equipment, tell that first motorist, hey, something's going on up here and we need to have you just sit still and we'll let you know when it's clear. Because you think about it, most people sit at stoplights for no more than 1.5 to 2 minutes. So 2 minutes being max. So if you stop this motorist for 5, 10 minutes and they've got a soccer game or a football game or a, exercise class going on and they want to make it there on time, they might just blow on through your flagging station. So just be careful of that. Real quickly, and then we're getting close to the end, but real quickly, the some new innovations that are out there, rumble strips here on the picture to your left. Basically, you put them in a series of 3. The rumble strip manufacturers like you to put 3 sets of them out. I think that's a little much, maybe 2 sets of them out. We've used 3 in a sequence, but now you've got to realize that you're going to have to put in extra signage up because motorcyclists don't like these things. And you want to let the motorcyclists know that what's up ahead in the road. So it might cause a forced sign to go down. But rumble strips get your attention. That bump at the, in the road kind of get your attention, slow you down a little bit. We've used them quite a bit. They're heavy. I think I've got some pros and cons here. Yeah. So they give an audible warning, a physical warning that it makes them look up. Generally, when you see them between the 1-lane road ahead and the flagger ahead. So basically, or even between the roadwork head and the 1-lane road ahead, so that you get them to look up. I can't remember the exact sequence we put the signage, but you get them to look up and look at the signs. So you're drawing their attention from down here to up here to in front of them. They're easy to place. That's a little bit, that's yes and no. They're 100 pounds each. So they have made, I know, some advancement in, they have trucks now that actually pick them up and put them in place, but they are 100 pounds each. So this is 3 100-pound pieces of rubber you're laying across the road. They are reusable. They have a pretty good long life. Cons, people might try to avoid them. They see something laying in a road and they want to drive around them. They're difficult for motorcyclists. Motorcyclists don't like anything in the middle of the road, and I don't blame them if you've ever driven a motorcycle. So, if you're going to run over a 3/4 inch or a 1/2 inch piece of rubber in the middle of the road, not good if you're on a, 1,200-pound motorcycle. Could be a noise problem. So possibly you want to make certain you don't have them nearby, any kind of hospital, nursing home, daycares, things like that, where it's going to be a distraction. And again, that last one, they're heavy to place, usually around 100 pounds each. So you have to be aware of that they're going to be a pretty heavy piece of rubber that you're dragging across the highway. Let's see. Whoops. Almost there. Sorry. My clicker went a little fast there. AFAD, which is Automatic Flagging Assistant Device. Excuse me if I get that wrong, but that's the best of my memory on the acronym. I should have got the acronym out of there. But basically, they're a tool that we can utilize as a flagger. You can see this one has a stop sign. And if you watch it in action, if I had a little more time, I'd show a video, but if you watch it in action, the stop would reverse and go to a slow sign. And now the kicker is that you have to have a certified flagger, qualified flagger operate one of these, but they can stand out of the road. They can get over there in the truck and, or wherever, and sit in where they can see both of them. And they can actually, they can move one and let traffic through and then open the other one up. And you can time them as well. There's another one that's similar to this, but it has a red yellow light. And again, it's just a tool that you can use. And I really like these. Now you need a little bit of room to park these on the shoulder. But I do remember we had one utility company that utilized these on 460 between Georgetown and Frankfort. That's a pretty curvy road with limited shoulders, and they were able to make it work there. And they wanted to get their flaggers out of the roadway, and a really good way to do this. And you don't have to buy these things. They're available for rent. I know there's a couple companies here in Kentucky that rent them, and you can rent these for a day, a week, a month, whatever rental agreement you want to set up. So, you're in a high-speed corridor, a dangerous area. This might be something you want to look at. Last, I want to show this picture. Now, this is one of the better flagger setups that I've ever seen, and it was in a unique place. This was actually at Arlington Cemetery, sorry, Arlington Cemetery. And if there's one place that you're not getting a lot of traffic here, you're getting mostly, you know, the carriages and the funerals that are coming through. But yet this crew set up this signage and had a perfect flagger setup. On a side note to this, if you've never been to Arlington, this is, you know, respecting the veterans and the people that gave their lives for this country. This place is just, it brings chills, it brings goosebumps up on your arms just walking in and being in this hallowed area. But I was really amazed. There was a crew just beyond this curve that had a little operation going where they were putting some utilities across a roadbed, and they took the time to set up this work zone correctly. And again, it was right in the middle of Arlington Cemetery. So that said, that's pretty much the end of my time. I want to thank you guys and gals for having me today, and we'll have a little bit of time for question and answer. But let me leave on this note. Again, we need to try everything we can. We need to do everything we can to keep our workers safe and be a safety person for one day. Go out. If you're not a safety person, become that safety person for one day or 1 week. And, you know, 1 day a week or 1 hour, 1 minute a day, just put on a safety hat, go out and look at things and make certain that we're doing them correctly. Because again, these incidents happen so quick and without warning, and we need to do everything in our power. We need to try to get all the training we can. We need to practice that training and try to keep our workers safe, because we're still seeing so many work zones out there that really need improvements. And hopefully through the work of UK and others, the Philip Nobles of the world and the Alan Ravenscrafts of the world, and all you folks that are on here today, we won't have these injuries, and we won't have these Google reports of people getting injured. So that said, I want to thank you, and I'm done.